How's it going, everybody? It's Dono. In this video, I got a question about how to create a rap persona, so I'm going to give you my best ideas on that. So, I got a very interesting question basically asking how do you create a rap persona, and there's a couple different angles to hit this from. It really just depends on what's going to work for you, so I'm going to try to cover basically all the ideas that I could come up with on how you might approach something like this. The first thing that came to mind when I was thinking about this is if you want to create a persona, the easiest way or the most reliable way to do that is to probably stretch some of the traits that you already have, right? So if you maybe are a little bit of a class clown or something like that, really pulling that out, right? And amping it up. If it's like 10%, cranking it to 500%. Using some of these traits and attributes you already have and playing them up is going to be easier in most cases than trying to invent someone 100% completely different from who you are. Now, this doesn't mean you have to sort of be the same person, but just more exaggerated. It just means that you look for attributes that you have or maybe keep locked up that you can really lean into and hone to make sort of a style that's still your own, but a little bit of a different persona than you typically put out to the world. Now, the reason that I bring this up is because I think the most common problem I see is that people want to create some sort of a persona to step out of the fear of performing, right? The self-confidence that comes with performing and putting your art out there in front of people. If you sort of use this other persona, you're able to distance yourself from that. And that makes sense to me. I do think there is probably some work to be done around receiving feedback and being authentic and all that stuff. But I'm not going to go too far into that just because that's not what the question really is. But that is something to kind of look at. So with that in mind, before you create someone completely different, I would try this approach of just sort of exaggerating some of your features and coming up with someone or a persona that is similar or has some features that you share so that it's easy to tap into those attributes. Now, you absolutely can create a persona that is very, very different from yourself. It's doable. It's just a bit harder in most cases because you're going to need to tap into a lot more depth and really think things through for it to seem authentic and for it to carry over in the long term, right? You're going to need to do basically character development, and you're going to need to work on some acting skills around that if some of these traits and attributes don't come to you naturally. So the first thing I would recommend is to really think about who the character is and in a detailed way, right? The more you can figure out who they are, the more detailed you can imagine them, the more likely you're going to be able to step into that character and make it convincing. Now, again, the reason that I'm a little bit more hesitant to take this approach or to recommend this approach is because it's a lot harder to pull off. You have to be able to act in addition to sort of the rap that you're already wanting to create. I think it's a little easier to find authentic pieces of yourself and tap into them. But that being said, some people will find it easier to create a completely different image. You just need to get really specific and have a clear image in your mind of what you want that persona to be. Because if it's something that you're going to use for your whole career or an album or an extended period of time, having it change quite drastically is going to be something that people notice, and it's not going to be as convincing. So the last piece that I would mention is that if you're going to create a persona, I think it's really useful to create some sort of identity or name or just some identifier that you can use so that you can completely jump into that other separate sort of entity that you're trying to portray, right? The more fleshed out it is, the better that you will be able to inhabit it and really make it work and carry it and stay in character. One other thing I wanted to mention is that I think it's worth maybe trying out the persona to see how it lands before you really commit to it fully, right? Do some writing, do some recording, send it to people, perform in front of people. It's not that you have to have this one perfect vision of a persona and then you act it out. It's more of a give and take process, right, that you can develop over time. It's just that if you don't do the work to sort of figure out what it is as you go, you may end up with just this sort of amorphous character that is not well tied to what it is that you want to produce. So hopefully that helps give you some ideas on how to start thinking about creating a persona. Again, I would first tap into traits and attributes that you sort of have and want to portray. Like, for example, if you just are feeling self-conscious, really tapping into a character that has a high level of confidence but isn't absolutely different from you. But that being said, if sort of this completely new character appeals to you more, totally doable. It just takes a little bit more effort and you need to think things through to make it consistent. That's all I've got for this video. As always, if you have any questions, comments, topics you want me to cover, throw them down in the box below. I'll get to them as soon as I can, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please take a second to like and subscribe as it really helps. I've also got a second channel, How to Happy, which focuses on health and well-being. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.